now that Boise State and Colorado are finished up with their regular seasons, the question that kind of came to my mind was who should win the Heisman Trophy, Ashton Jeanty or Travis Hunter? And the debate's going to go back and forth. I mean, it really depends if you're biased in terms of Colorado or Boise State. The answer is going to be pretty obvious there. But what's fun about this discussion for a couple of different reasons. First, I'm excited it's finally not a quarterback and I love my quarterbacks. I think they deserve the majority of the credit for their teams as they're essentially the leader. They get the most criticism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself and say, man, it's been a lot of fun seeing a running back finally being in Heisman Trophy contention and seeing a two-way player with the amount of skill and talent that Travis Hunter possesses that we'll be seeing obviously on Sundays as well, him being in contention too, given the stat sheet that he's had this year. Now, when you look at Ashton Jeanty versus Travis Hunter, let me just start off by saying that both these young men have incredible futures ahead of them. I definitely enjoy listening to them in their press game conferences in terms of Jeanty saying like, hey, at the end of the day, these accomplishments are about my team, not myself, even though he broke the school record for rushing yards. And even if you look statistically week to week compared to what Jeanty has done versus what these Power 4 schools are doing, he's essentially just doubling the yardage every single week. I mean, to have over 2,000 yards of rushing, 27 touchdowns, and to average 7.5 yards a carry, I mean, that's just incredible. And it's a testament to what this Boise State team has done, especially going to the season too. Everybody was kind of talking about how Malachi Nelson was supposed to be the starter there, big hot transfer from USC, and then they go with the kid Madsden, and he ended up being quite solid for them. And essentially, Boise State's only loss this year has been to Oregon by 3, and even then, Jeanty put up over 150 yards of rushing on a really strong Oregon team. So say what you want about the competition that Boise State has had, but the reality is that he is putting up these numbers regardless of who he's playing. And this isn't stats that we see every day. I mean, this is unprecedented stuff that I would argue, certainly valid a Heisman Trophy there, considering that he has done everything that you've asked him to. He is a leader, and at the end of the day, the Heisman Trophy is the best player in the entire country, not who's the best player on a Power 4 school. And obviously, to me, the argument for Jeanty would just be in terms of it's not even comparable to other running backs who are anywhere near him, because what he's done in terms of just pure and utter domination and just how explosive he is, being able to shed off tacklers, and also just the humility that he has for the amount of success that he's had over the course of his Boise State career. It's been incredible to watch, and I certainly would love to see him win the Heisman Trophy. But objectively speaking, if you're looking at this right now, and if you're looking at the betting lines for this, Travis Hunter is the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, and he's the Heisman Trophy for a few reasons, which I do ultimately think he's going to end up winning it. But what's been so fun about this debate is the fact that they both have earned it, and I really don't think you can sit there and say, oh yeah, this one person deserves it obviously way more than the other person. And I think you're going to see some people online creating some controversy or some shit talking or whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, both these players have been the two best players in the entire country, and they both deserve it. And when you think about Travis Hunter starting off his career at humble roots at Jackson State for his first season, then his next two at Colorado, where this year was really kind of his pinnacle moment in terms of really putting everything together, not only as a wide receiver, but perhaps most importantly as a cornerback, which I would argue that's more than likely where he'll play in the NFL, because at the end of the day, cornerbacks are harder to find in the NFL than wide receivers are. And he's done everything you can ask out of him. He's been playing both sides of the football for the majority of most games when healthy. He put up 10 receptions, 3 touchdown passes against Oklahoma State. He's said the right things. He's done the right things. And he's one of the biggest reasons why Colorado has experienced such a brilliant turnaround over these past couple weeks, especially when you think about Colorado, you think of the beginning of the season with Nebraska, and then for them to turn it around and put up a dominant 52-0 performance versus Ohio State to cap off the season is definitely incredible to see. And it's definitely going to make you wonder, too, does Travis Hunter play in a bowl game, or will he be sitting it out because he's going to be preparing for the draft? But ultimately right now, I mean, you look at both these players and you say to themselves, man, these two have both earned it. They've both been incredible. And it's definitely going to be fun to see who ends up winning the Heisman Trophy. Just in terms of Travis Hunter being able to play both sides of the ball, I'm going to give the slight edge to Travis Hunter. However, for those listening, I think you should be just as happy if Ashton Jeanty won, because I don't think it gets stated enough, at least in big stream media, in terms of what Jeanty has done this season, not only statistically, but also in a historical sense, in terms of college football, because these numbers that we're seeing are unprecedented, and it definitely needs to be acknowledged. Even if he doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, I definitely think we need to see some more love for Jeanty too, because all the highlights is he steamrolled another Mountain West team, when instead it should be about the leadership skills that he's brought, the humility of saying, hey, yes, I know I'm the star of the team, but at the same time there's also 80 plus men who are also helping me out too. And then when you look at Travis Hunter, I love his confidence and the fact that he can play both sides of the ball. When he's playing corner, he's doing his best to shut down their star receiver, and for the most part, he's had a bunch of success, particularly with pass deflections and not giving up too many big penalties on the defensive side of the ball. And then offensively, he essentially is averaging over 100 yards a game for the majority of those games. And when you get open, you put up touchdowns. That's a recipe for a Heisman Trophy. So going to these next couple weeks, definitely be fascinated to see whether Travis Hunter plays in the bowl game, or just opts to go to the draft. And then in terms of Jeanty, assuming that you beat UNLV in the Mountain West Championship and play in the college football playoff, I think if you see Jeanty in this playoff and he continues to go off compared to Hunter not playing in their bowl game, that could possibly make a difference in terms of the Heisman Trophy voters, in terms of who would win. But at the same time, I really don't think there's an obvious choice. Both these young men deserve the praise and the recognition that they've gotten, and I would be happy and excited for regardless of who ends up winning this trophy. But right now, give me Travis Hunter and a slight edge over Jeanty.